Hey, hello there, Internet! Short of the Max Extreme here.
And Ghost Hunter Dave.
Together we make IMPERIUS REX.
Huzzah!
Today's show we are going over the sequel to the Hellboy series, Hellboy in Hell.
So, creator Mike Mignola,
That's right.
as we've been corrected, he completes his masterpiece with this.
Yeah.
So after a long haul of Hellboy, he, in his original series, dies,
Right.
saving the world from a dragon, only to be killed and taken down to the depths of hell.
H-E double hockey sticks.
That's what they call it. And this chronicles his adventures, I guess, as he just kind of meanders around hell for 10 issues. And I think originally this was going to be a lot longer. This was going to be Mignola. I can't break myself from it. Mignola. Just doing whatever with it.
Right.
He wanted to draw and write it and go back to like the old formula of just doing it all, whatever idea struck him.
Yeah.
But he realized as he was writing it that it just came to a conclusion a lot quicker than he anticipated, and it was time to end the book, which you have to give him credit for. He didn't just want to draw it out indefinitely.
Right.
It came to a natural end on its own. So, what'd you think of Hellboy in Hell?
It was good. I don't think I enjoyed it as much as the original series. Let's
start over, but this time you like it.
Great. I'm gonna say the same thing.
All right, go on.
I actually would have enjoyed more meandering, to be honest. Like the second, I read the 2 trades of it, and the second trade I feel like goes really fast. Like at the the last 2 chapters, especially the last one, just kind of wraps up. And I could have gone for almost maybe another trade of Hellboy Adventures Down in Hell. I don't know if there was that much to tell, but a lot of the other trades earlier in Hellboy, they tell a little bit of a story, have a few issues of doing whatever, and then they do another little story, and then they do little issues, and I could have done with more of that, actually, I think.
Well, you can always do with more Hellboy.
That's true.
Luckily, even though he's done in Hell and in the regular Earth realm, there's flashback series Hellboy in the BPRD 1952, 3, 4, 5. That's going strong. The occasional hardcover House of the Living Dead, Into the Silent Sea, which is the most recent one. But his long-term story is kind of at a stopping point right now. And I think I heard that he finished issue 8, and he was like, oh, this is the end. He's he even wrote the end on it. And then added 2 more that were almost like an epilogue to that. But it kind of brings back in a lot of characters that he's met earlier. So Elagos, which was that horn-headed demon that he fought on the bridge. Astaroth, which is the other horn-headed demon with the snake staff that's kind of been lurking throughout the whole series. The Vampire of Prague came back from one of the shorts. And his bride, which played a big role.
Which I completely forgot about.
Yeah, and then we get some new characters, which were really interesting. His siblings. So we had 3 brothers. 2 or 3?
2 brothers.
2 brothers and a sister. And my favorite part of this was we get a lot of Edward Grey. Who is the Witchfinder from his own series. And you find out that he has been this masked, cloaked figure from way back in the very beginning of the Hellboy series, who's been watching over him, and he full on, he's like, all right, I'm going in. And he decides to help Hellboy. And you get his whole backstory, he died fighting this demon, and he's pulled down into hell and dismembered, and then he's stitched back together as this patchwork ghoul. But he's still alive, and he decides he's gonna help Hellboy. So warning, we're gonna get into full-on spoilers on this too. But I think probably what kicked this off into a very quick wrap-up was he kills Satan very quickly. Issue 4 or 3.
Yeah.
And it's kind of told in flashbacks later on, but like as he's wandering around Hell, he finds the different areas, like Pandemonium is the capital city of Hell or something like that.
Yeah.
And he ends up going down into, I can't remember if it's Satan or Lucifer, but the main devil's chamber. And Snake is whispering in his ear, very Garden of Eden style, take the dagger, kill him. And it's like an homage to Macbeth. So he goes down there and cuts the devil's throat, and then with no devil in charge, like Hell just is in chaos.
Yeah.
And all the slave demons turn on their masters, and they're killing them. And then, with the exception of a couple little like one-off stories in there, the main story progresses to the end that like all the demons turn on the masters, everyone leaves Hell, and Hellboy finally has to take up his destiny, which he just can't get away from.
Right.
Even now that he's dead, it's like, he's probably thinking like, seriously still? Like, enough? But he decides like his destiny is to bring about the end, as it always was, but it's the end of Hell.
Right.
So he like embraces it, he's got the horns again, and he becomes this towering demon. And just wipes the floor with all of the remaining like powerful demons. Just destroys everything essentially, and then lumbers off to the end. Right. Which we'll get to, but there's a couple other things to touch on in there too.
It came on very suddenly, I thought, because that's all in the last chapter of the second trade.
Yeah. And prior to that, his wife kind of informs him that, like, you need to shit or get off the pot. Essentially, like, he's pinned to a tree. Right. Siblings are attacking him. All that he goes through.
Yeah. And I like that part, but I almost thought it was, like, for me personally, I thought it was a bit, like, jarring that it was, like, Hellboy is kind of, like, slow going, you know?
Yeah.
It meanders to its benefit.
Yeah.
And, like, and then it just wraps up in that one issue, and I was like, oh, I thought there was kind of be more of a lead up to this. And I don't know if Mignola was like, well, this is it, I'm going to tell it, but I'm like, I feel like you could have maybe put 2 more issues in here.
Yeah.
To, like, build up to it a little bit, because it just kind of happens.
Yeah, and it changes perspective, too, because prior to that, they've all been following Hellboy. Yeah. And then the final issue is it being told by a demon. Right. So it's not even following Hellboy. It's like from a passerby. Yeah, saying like, oh my god, grandmother, he came in and he was this towering monster and he wiped out the hordes. Yeah, it was really interesting. So like the Hellboy story kind of ended on 9.
Right. Yeah. It's true.
It is a strange end. Like the way to play it off like that. And like, I could always use more Hellboy, but I thought he did his fair share of meandering in there. Like, they had the couple issues where it did, like, the Christmas Carol homage, where the 3 ghosts of the past
came and that a lot.
Showed him around Hell, which I liked. They had some classic Mignola puppet theater.
Yeah, right.
Which I dug. And then it had that great Hounds of Pluto issue in there.
Yeah, I like that one a lot.
Where they have, like, a dead cat and a monster and all this stuff.
I like that a lot.
Love that.
I actually really liked where he's in, like, a bar talking to, like, 2 gentlemen that have been in Hell forever, and they're trying to map it out. Yeah. And I really like Mignola's depiction of Hell, where Pandemonium sits in the center.
Like a bowl.
Well, yeah, a bowl, and Pandemonium sits in the center of this lake of fire, and then on the outskirts is just this never-ending town, and then nobody knows what's after that because they just get lost in the streets.
Yeah, they call it like the Abyss. Yeah. And that was where like all the Lovecraftian things floated around in darkness. Yeah. Which I think he wound up there, and then Gray saved him.
Yeah. And I also really liked, it could be confusing to like people who've never read Hellboy before, but I liked how he's talking to these people, and sometimes they're the actual visage of a person, and then the next panel they're a skeleton. Yeah. Like, I really liked that it just bounces back and forth.
Depending on whatever he wanted to draw. And even Hellboy starts looking like skeletally in some parts.
And like gray. And all that. Yeah, I really like that.
Yep. And the art style has just gotten simpler and simpler. I mean, you look at the first Hellboy, Seed of Destruction, and you look at this, and it's night and day difference.
Right. And, like, I'm personally not a huge fan of his getting simpler and simpler. I appreciate Mike's work tremendously. And, like, the way he tells stories with just, like, little panels here, just so, like, of a statue or a bust of something that totally sets the mood for the whole page. I love that nobody can really integrate as well as he can.
Yeah.
But I want more detail in the... Like, I really like Duncan Fegredo's run on Hellboy. And I'm not going to say he's my favorite Hellboy artist, because actually Mike is.
Of course.
So I like calling him Mike. We're on a first name basis. But
I'd call him Michael. See what he does.
It's hard to argue with the guy who created the thing. And, like, this is what I want to do. But not that I dislike it, but I almost want more out of it, especially if it's going out on its last hurrah, you know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, I like that it is evolved into just, like, the barest essentials of Mignola art.
Sure.
Like, he's always blocky and very shapy.
Yeah.
And now it's just, like, to the nth degree. And if it was anyone else, I'd be like, But, like,
I know, I feel like he does get a pass.
You know, I feel like he probably lays out a much more detailed version and, like, chisels it down to the barest essentials.
Yeah. Chisels is the correct word, because it looks like they're carved out of stone.
Yeah. So, after he accepts his fate, destroys Hell, essentially, he just wanders the plains for a while. And you get, like, 2 pages of him just wandering this desolate countryside.
Right.
Before finally stumbling on, like, this old, like, English-looking cottage, going inside, and there's 3 floating shapes.
Yeah.
And he doesn't draw any attention to them.
Nope.
He just sits down there on the couch, like, takes a rest.
Yep.
And then we have the narration from his very first appearance on Earth with the soldiers and Professor Broom saying, like, "Oh, it's a demon from hell, kill it!" And Broom saying, like, "No, it's a little boy. It's Hellboy." And then it cuts to black, and that's it.
Yeah.
So, what's with those shapes?
Well, they're from a book of Screw-On-Head and Other Curious Objects.
Short story that he wrote with his daughter,
right.
his 7-year-old daughter.
Yeah.
Called The Magician and the Snake. And it's about a magician that makes 3 shapes disappear. And everybody thinks, like, that's amazing. And he says, like, yeah, it's not that great. Essentially, like, someday those shapes are going to reappear, and when that happens, I'll die.
Yeah.
And the snake is his best friend, and he's like, no, I can't accept that. And then all of a sudden the shapes return, and the snake is very upset about this, and the magician dies, but he dies comforted and accepting the fact that, like, he was loved and he had this time with his friend. So that's, like, a metaphor for Hellboy and its readers, I feel like.
Just seeing, it's an odd thing to say, like, I loved seeing those shapes, like, at the end, but...
They were so three-dimensional and geometric.
They were. When I say shapes, I mean, it was a pyramid, a sphere, and a cube.
Yes.
We're not talking about squares, circles, and triangles here, Dave.
No.
We've gone into the 3rd dimension.
Yes.
But, knowing that it was from that story with his daughter, it made it feel like it was much more fitting, and, like, I was like, okay, like, that's really good.
You get a pass.
Yeah.
Like, on anything else, that wouldn't work.
Right.
But, like, for this, and the fact that Hellboy has remained a very personal story throughout this entire thing, like, he has his name top billing on every credit of everything in the Mignolaverse.
Yes.
So, like, he's had a hand in all of it.
Yeah.
So he can end it however the hell he wants. It's not like this was passed off and this writer took a stab at it. It's all his.
Right.
And that's, like, what better way to end it than, like, something you wrote with your daughter.
Yeah, perfectly said.
So that's how Hellboy wraps up. He just takes it easy now.
Yeah.
He's finally... I think his wife said something like, to have a new life, you have to destroy the old one, or something like that. So he has. He's died. He's gone to hell. He's found more of the same there. And now he's just had it. And he's like, all right, I'm done.
Yeah.
Wrecks it. And then he's like, now I'm
finally kick back and relax.
Yeah. So
all I've ever wanted to do.
Yeah, you want to think like he's finally got a little peace in hell all by himself. until whatever he wants to do with him. Like, I don't think he's done forever.
I hope not.
No. Yeah. But, like, I'm fine with this for however long he wants to put him on hold.
Right. Now, Dave, I know Hellboy is very dear to you.
Near and dear. It's right here, and it's dear.
It's not my favorite thing in the world. But, like, I really appreciate Hellboy in its run. Mm-hmm. And I like the ending. It's almost a complaint that I want more. Is that a bad complaint? That I wanted more of it before it ended?
No, I don't think so. Because, like, I could always use more. But at the same time, I'm glad it didn't ever, like, falter.
Yeah,
less is more.
Yeah.
But, like, I get Hellboy in other avenues, and I'm okay with that. And I've reread it multiple times. Mm-hmm. And all of his other stuff, like BPRD, is amazing. Like, I love BPRD.
I still have to go back and read that.
Yeah, that one's great. All the spin-offs, like Lobster Johnson, Sledgehammer 44, Frankenstein, all those are fantastic. So, like, I get enough of the Mignola universe that, like, Hellboy's kind of a treat.
Oh, sure.
And, like, BPRD is run, like, 3 times as long as Hellboy has. Mm-hmm. So that is, like, the longest running title that he's, has a hand in. Uh-huh. So I think of Hellboy as the crown jewel, but there's not an overwhelming amount of it. You just get, like, the little pieces here and there, and you really appreciate them for what they are. Mm-hmm. And know that, like, that built the universe, but it didn't expand it like these other titles did.
Right on.
So that's it. I mean, that's Hellboy in Hell.
So what did you think of Hellboy in Hell? Have you read it yet? Do you got that library edition on your shelf? If not, maybe you should. So tell us down below what you thought of Hellboy in Hell, or Hellboy in general. What do you think of Hellboy?
I love it.
Is it close to your heart? Such as Dave wearing it on his shirt right now? Or me wearing washed out gray? For some whatever reason, I don't know. Listen, I don't make a lot of my life choices very well, so let us know down below what you thought. And until next time, you can find us on at IMPERIUS REX Show on Twitter. But until next time, I've been Short of the Max Extreme.
And I'm Ghost Hunter Dave.
And this has been IMPERIUS REX.